the architect of the book, Ms. Rajni Sekhri Sibal, who is from Indian Administrative Services of the Haryana cadre, who has recently retired as Secretary Government of India. She is at present the CEO of Kailash Satyarthi Children's Foundation and Bachpan Bachao Andolan. She has authored a number of books that includes Tools for Monitoring, Clouds End and Beyond, Kamdhenu, Fragrant Words, Are You Prepared for a Disaster, The Haunting Himalayas, and The Women of Influence. Welcome, Ms. Sibal. Last but not the least, the very Jasleen Vohra, senior TV presenter and commentator. She's a well-known face in the media industry. She has interviewed many prominent people and hosted several grand events over the years. Her love for reading has provided her with the depth required to understand people and issues better. She will be moderating the session of today's program. Now, before I hand over the baton to Jasleen, I would like to request all the distinguished panelists on the dais to release the book. Thank you. Well, all of us know public health pandemic has left us nowhere. Like, it has brought in so much of uncertainty. We were supposed to be joined by Nobel laureate Kailash Satyarthi, but due to his ill health, he is unable, but he has sent a message for all of us. And I request Ms. Vrinda to present this message on behalf of Kailash Satyarthi Children's Foundation.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good evening to all. I, Vrinda Sharma, am here to share Nobel Peace Laureate Mr. Kailash Satyarthi ji's thoughts about the Guru, Guru Nanak Saakhis, with you all. Compassion is the central theme of Guru Nanak Dev's teachings. His worldview is rational, liberal and humane. The essence of spirituality is inherent in each one of us. It is compassion. A strong need to share and care for others was deeply etched in Guru Nanak from a very young age. Guru Nanak believed that every religion was, in essence, a different path to the same end. He was a firm advocate of equality and was of the view that he who regards all as equals is truly religious. When I read the manuscript of the Guru, Guru Nanak Saakhis, I was truly fascinated. This collection of short stories about Guru Nanak Dev provides an insight into the life and teachings of a wise, rational and compassionate spiritual leader who walked this earth over 5 centuries ago. He was a reformer and his teachings were radical and extremely relevant in the stratified society of his times. They are just as relevant today in a world that continues to have much the same issues, a world that is at war with itself. Ms. Rajni Sekhri Sibal's book, The Guru, Guru Nanak Saakhis, is a beautiful compilation of some of the most fascinating and inspirational stories I have read. The book stores a wealth of knowledge that is conveyed to the reader in a subtle and appealing manner. The narrative is absorbing, conversational, and poetic in parts. The author has captured the essence of the time in which the book is set. The anecdotes are so engaging that they kept me glued to the book until I read the last sentence. The Saakhis narrated in the book are thought-provoking and imbued with a depth of wisdom and provide a direction to help lead a purposeful life, a life with purpose. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vrinda. And now I pass on baton to Jasleen to take the session forward.
Thank you, Shani. So the first thing that Guru Nanak taught us is about one shako, so we'll be sharing the mic. And that is part of the sharing tradition. the thing about Guru Nanak is that, a poet once said, मैं तो गज़ल सुनाकर अकेला खड़ा रहा, सब अपने अपने चाहने में आलों में खो गए. I feel that it is true also for Guru Nanak that he is the beloved, and to each who follows him or loves him sees him as his own. That is why, as far away as China, he was accepted as Baba Fusa, Nanak Lama in Tibet, as Nanak Peer in the Middle East, etc. So we all have different ways to understand him. Certain material, of course, is the same, like the Saakhis, but then the way we imbibe it and understand understand the Saakhis, that is what makes the difference. And that is where the beauty of this book lies, because I would request Rajni to tell us a little bit more about it, because you don't necessarily come from the same Sikh tradition. And this also proves that Guru Nanak was not a Sikh guru, he was a guru. So, Rajni ji, please say something.
I'm going to feel unhappy until Bharti ma'am comes and sits down. Please come in front and come sit. There is a chair here, ma'am. Come. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to talk to you all about a book that's very close to my heart. And this morning when Jasleen said much the same thing to me, and we were talking about the fact that when I presented the book to first, in fact, the book's launch has already been done, by the way, at the Nankana Sab, and 2 days later it was presented before the evening ardas at the Golden Temple, and a similar question was asked of me there. You're not a Sikh, so why would you want to write about a Sikh guru? I want to quote what my dadi, I see some cousin of mine sitting there, I guess he also remembers some story she told. What she said to me when I asked her, because she used to tell us these stories at night, and in the morning take us the next day or a few days later to the Gurudwara to kind of tell us these stories at night, and in the morning take us the next day or a few days later to the Gurudwara to kind of make us understand that how real they are. I said, are you a Sikh? So she said, you are a Sikh too. Anyone who listens to, reads, understands what the Guru has said and absorbs it into her life is a Sikh. And that's my definition of Sikh, and I think I belong amongst all the Sikhs. Where the book began is, you see, these stories were initially, I went to a boarding school in Dehradun, and I have a few friends sitting here from somewhere at the back. Yeah, hi. We had a matron in dorm number 2, Mrs. Sani, God bless her, she's no more. She brought Guru Nanak alive to a 7-year-old, and a group of 7 to 8-year-olds would just sit like this, wide-eyed, listening to her, and she introduced him as this grey, in fact white beard, white haired, serene, compassionate, wonderfully warm grandfather. Mataji, she used to tell us a story called Hulhul and the Crow. Hulhul Mami Lutta Nai, and that used to be my favorite story until I went back and told her, Dadi, Saakhi nahi aati aapko? And that's when a whole pitara of Saakhis was unfolded to me and a whole new learning began. Saakhis, ladies and gentlemen, are actually in the oral tradition. They are stories about the experiences of the Guru, which have been told from generation to generation for the last 550 odd years. Because they're not recorded, what happens is when my grandmother tells me and I tell my children, somewhere our personality, our persona also gets transferred. And along with our persona, a lot of myths start accumulating around the truth. So during COVID, this is a COVID book, I was talking to I think it was September 1487 is when Guru Nanak got married at Batala, the place that I belong to. And that's the day you have something called every year, since the last 500 years. It's a living tradition that Babaji is married. You have Babeda Vyah, and the whole town goes crazy. Everybody's in their festive best and dancing and walks with the procession, and you have these acrobats. And it's amazing. 7 is when Guru Nanak got married at Batala, the place that I belong to. And that's the day you have something called every year, since the last 500 years. It's a living tradition that Babaji is married. You have Babeda Vyah, and the whole town goes crazy. Everybody's in their festive best and dancing and walks with the procession, and you have these acrobats, and it's amazing. And along the way, every house, every factory, every installment, every establishment lays out what's called a chabil or a langar, and it's a free-for-all, and it's a time to celebrate. I was telling my daughter about this. So as I was talking, I started telling her Dadi's stories, and she says, Ma, but don't you live like that? Isn't that part of you? And what is really, truly part of me is what Guru Nanak had said about Daswand. Daswand, I don't want to talk too much because it's there in the book. It's a tradition in the Sikh tradition where you actually share part of what you earn with those whose needs are more than yours. And I had not realized that maybe I picked that up from some Sakhi that she told me. And I said, wow. So a story that gets told to you as a child stays as a part of your own personality. The compassion, the love, the truth, the human being, the equitable kind of wise, sagacious worldview where it doesn't matter what religion, what caste, what gender you are, stays with you. And I just thought to myself, that tradition of telling stories from one generation to the other is kind of lost. I need to put these together. Take off the moss from the true center. Did a lot of research thereafter, but what I told Jasleen this morning was, and I was a little embarrassed to share it then, but I think I should because I'm basically honesty is something that's important to me. I used to write frantically, during the COVID. I had my children say, Ma, stop, you need to have dinner, you need to sit and do something, and you can't just keep writing. And the next morning after I woke up, I'd actually look at it and say, gosh, did I write it? I honestly want to tell you, this is not my book. The words were there somewhere in the ether, somewhere in my subconscious, but definitely out there, and I just kind of culled them out, crafted them, put them together like a tapestry and wove these stories, researched them, and they're there before you. With a lot of love, a lot of affection, important to me. I used to write frantically, during the COVID. I had my children say, Ma, stop, you need to have dinner, you need to sit and do something, and you can't just keep writing. And the next morning after I woke up, I'd actually look at it and say, gosh, did I write it? I honestly want to tell you, this is not my book. The words were there somewhere in the ether, somewhere in my subconscious, but definitely out there, and I just kind of culled them out, crafted them, put them together like a tapestry and wove these stories, researched them, and they're there before you. With a lot of love, a lot of affection. Basically written for those who haven't been lucky enough to hear it from their grandmother, and for those who are not Sikhs, do not belong to the Sikh tradition, but are looking for a life, not so much a religion, but a life of purpose, a life which is with integrity, a worldview that's rational, scientific, of relevance today. This is the end.
That's very beautifully put. Babaji took his message all across the world. We know the famous Sakhi of Makkah, which is mentioned in the book. So come to think of it, when you're an ambassador of a country, you are actually following the same footsteps of His Udasi in a way. So how do you see that?
Jasleen, thank you very much. And Rajni, thank you very much for asking me to come here. So many of you must be surprised after having seen the poster. And somebody here asked me, are you Mr. Such and Such? And I had to say, no, I also wear a beard neck. Pulka Saab is not in our midst here today because he's had a bereavement in his family. He's our senior, venerable member of the Sikh community here, someone who, a friend of mine, but someone one deeply cares for. And last night he called me and said, could you please go there and do what I promised Rajni to be here. So I'm here on that count, and I want to thank him for asking me, and Rajni, you for having invited me.
And we thank you for standing in for him.
Thank you. Let me first say what he told me, because I think that's important. So Rajni, he told me, Manjeev, I'm sending you this book. He doesn't live far from my place. I'm sending you this book. I don't know if you'll have the time to read it. I did. I kind of speed read it in about an hour's time. It was late last night. And I cannot forget his words. He said, please go there and thank her. Please go there and thank her for having brought us, the Sikh community, the teachings of Guru Nanak, put across in a simple, readable manner to those who have some vague ideas about us, but who need to be able to read this, understand, assimilate it in an easy manner, but one which resonates. And I think, Gurjit, you said it very well when you said that, there was a lot to Guru Sahib, a lot which has happened, but putting it across, Rajni, you said it so beautifully. You used the dorm leader, your grandmother, your own coming from Batala, the Kand Sahib Gurudwara. You mentioned all of that, and you've assembled this beautiful gathering here of people who many of us know, but know in different forms. Some from, the Sikh background, some from our professional background, several from school, colleges, others as memberships of this August India International Center, from former ministers to MPs, and several others, my colleagues, Gurjit, Justice Saron, and Jasleen yourself. What you've done for us as a community. So, Jasleen, that's the way these things happen. Remember, it's only 550 years. It's only 550 years. It's no 2000 years. 550 years, there are many people whose families trace their histories to 550 years. They can write it down and tell you this is what happened. Now, to you and me, it may seem too much, but those who are fortunate to have those kind of background, these things do happen. So, therefore, there's a degree of contemporary also to all of it. Why is Delhi so important in the Sikh religion? Guru Nanak was born in Nandana Sahib, passed away finally in Kartarpur Sahib, lived in Sultanpur Lodi. Where is those areas? How is Delhi so important? Look at the number of things that happened with Sikhs in Delhi and Sikhs' contributions to Delhi. Perhaps the only guys who for a very short period, maybe for 2 days or 3 days, actually had the throne of Delhi in their charge. Not even talked about much in Sikh history, but it did happen. Sacrifices. You heard about Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib. This is the nature of the thing. Guru Nanak traveled the whole world. You mentioned this. So you've given me a segue to say what I would love to say.
Yes.
Those of us who serve in the foreign service have lots of opportunities. People used to talk about all kinds of things, alcohol, protocol, etc. We don't know about all that. But it's very rare that you get an opportunity to marry your professional with your personal. In which he went to Tibet. In some senses, we say Mansarovar. And then he traversed all the way towards Banaras and so on. If you look at the map, the chances are that he would have traversed through what is today Nepal. There are all kinds of ideas about it, nobody knows. But in Kathmandu, there is a Gurudwara which calls itself Guru Nanak Mat. I personally don't think it had anything to do with Guru Nanak. It's part of the Udasi tradition of Sri Chand. but it allowed me, with my embassy, to be able to look at this particular dimension and all rooted in Guru Nanak. And so, Rajni, you gave me this wonderful opportunity to talk about it, and Jasleen, to you too. But I will end by saying something which is truly to me sounded miraculous. The first Indian ambassador to Nepal in 1947 was Sardar Gurjit Singh Majithia from this famous family from where Harsimrat Badal is also there. She's a granddaughter. The next Indian ambassador wearing a turban who went to Nepal was yours truly after 70 years, in the year that would have marked 550 years of Guru Nanak. In 70 years, the largest Indian embassy in the world perhaps did not have 5 people who wore a turban. In my time, there were 5 people who wore a turban. It all just had to happen. And we documented all this. Guru Sahib's power of universalism. That is why I say there is original thought. Ek Onkar. Yes, everybody says it's mine also. But it's yours, yeah, but that's not the way you went go about practicing it. This is the religion which talks of universalism, which is why everybody can lay claim to it. And I'm saying we are welcome. Why not? Everyone has every right to it. Because our gurus and their teachings are universal and teachings for everyone. But we follow a more structured element which comes out of it. And it's universalism and then doing the thing that yes, you're part of the human race. And so therefore, as Gurjit put it very well, you're doing normal things and yet you're contributing to humanity.
Yeah.
And is contributing to the planet and to humanity, which makes Guru Nanak that uniquely original leader of people in the world. And we at least I am extremely proud to belong to this religion, which is small, but a religion which believes in the oneness of the human being and one sort of entity to which we all
oneness for the
belong.
cosmos, really.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Jasleen.
Guru Nanak Ji had a worldview which is relevant today on account of the fact that it is, as I said initially, I said that before, rational, scientific, extremely sagacious. And it basically has just 3 elements. And those 3 elements are, as you correctly said, Panchako, Simran and Kirat. Now Kirat, as I understand it, is a work ethic, which you just said that do your everyday work, you don't have to be an ascetic, which is again this whole feeling you don't have to go to the temples, you don't have to go to the Gurudwara, I mean wherever, you don't have to go anywhere else, but you have to look within.
Yeah.
Because each person, every human being, every element in the cosmos has that very special element in him or her. With Kirat comes 2 dimensions. One dimension, as I see it, is this ability to, there's a sense of feeling of entitlement in a lot of youngsters. I'm entitled because I'm born into this family. I'm entitled because I've done X, Y, Z. So the lack of entitlement and the need to work for yourself is one part of Kirat. The other part of Kirat is to work with an ethic where you do expect undue gratification. In a world where we earn less from our salary and more from what comes from elsewhere, that's huge. The second thing that he said was, which again one thinks is so easy to follow, and that's why it is eclectic. It is a desire to do Vansh Shako. Now, Vansh Shako basically is a Punjabi word that literally means eat and share. But it's more, if you look at it, it's caring and sharing in a larger perspective. Sharing takes 2 forms. Sharing is, one form is to be able to give, that is seva, to the needy. But the seva has to have 4 elements. You give to somebody whose need is more than yourself. You give to the person who you do not know. The third is you give to someone without expecting anything in return, neither in this world nor the beyond, nor the Netherlands. The fourth is that when you give it with happiness, with joy. And fifth, And the last and most important one is you don't talk about it. You don't make a brouhaha, that, oh, I did a crore and I did that. That's the seva element. The other element of of caring and sharing is a community level sharing, which is again known as langar. Langar in the simplest form is also signifies equity, where everybody, whether you're a prime minister or you're somebody who sweeps the floor, or somebody who's a woman or a man, or somebody who's of the third gender or transgender, someone whose religion may be different, someone who's black, white, yellow, whatever color you may be, you all sit together and eat the same food. You cook together, you serve together, you eat together. But that's one form of it. Langar, if you see, has more elements to it. Langar, I remember the Kerala floods because I just saw someone I worked with during the disaster management. I think he's just left. It was the Sikh community that came forward and did the langars. That is not just merely food, but goes out, you go out and share what you can with everybody. And also with all the hurricanes that happen in the US. I think it's a Sikh community that goes out to do that. But it's something that everyone sitting in this room can do. And the last but not the least is Simran. Now Simran is a form of thinking, delving deeply about things that are not just merely food, but goes out, you go out and share what you can with everybody. And also with all the hurricanes that happen in the US. I think it's a Sikh community that goes out to do that. But it's something that everyone sitting in this room can do. And the last but not the least is Simran. Now Simran is a form of thinking, delving deeply about things that are esoteric, which are difficult to state. My form of Simran has also been to write the book. Your form of Simran can be whatever you choose to do with your life. But I think what Nanak actually did convey with through, and he never said, I am God. He never said, God told me so. He never said, these are the commandments, please follow them. He merely lived a life that from which you and I, we can all pick up what suits us, what actually is of value to us. I think that's what I really wanted to say about it, rather than okay, right. May I read from the book then? Okay, if you permit me.
Yeah.
And of course, when he emerged from the Kali Bear, the only two words he said when people said, oh, he's emancipated, he's actually enlightened, and the words of wisdom people were looking to hear, all he said was, na koi Hindu, na Musalman. Musalman is the Punjabi word for Muslim. And what he, whenever people asked him, so what's your religion? And he said, religion to me is compassion. If said in that word. May I read what Guru Nanak said at Puri? Guru Nanak went to Jagannath Puri as part of his udasis, and he went to the Jagannath temple with his friend Mardana, and coming to that thing about how he was egalitarian irrespective of your religion. Mardana was not allowed to enter the temple for the arti. Very keen. Now you've travelled so far in your wooden sandals, walked so far, and you're not allowed to go. And he decided not to go himself. He just did pranam from outside and walked down to the beach. Now this is at the beach. So the arti happened. They heard the arti outside at the temple, and then they came out, and Guru Nanak looked up at the sky and started to sing in a soft, melodious voice a song for the world, by the world, a song for the entire universe, a hymn that is sung today, even more than 500 years later. Ek Onkar, O luminous stars. Ek Onkar basically means the one true one. Ek Omkar, O luminous stars, I offer this ode to the one true one. The cosmic plate is thy prayer platter. The radiant lamps are the sun and the moon. The stars and planets are like offerings of pearls, and thy incense is the aroma of sandalwood. The winds become tender like a gentle breeze, and the earth offers all the plants in the woods. Fragrant blooms flower and fall at your feet, a veneration exquisite, majestic and sweet. O luminous one, O protector from fear. I celebrate the magnificence of the cosmic lights. I venerate the resonance of the celestial stream. You have 1,000 eyes, and yet you actually have none. You have 1,000 arms, and still you're armless. You have 1,000 feet, and yet you have no feet. You have 1,000 forms, and still you're formless. You possess no nose, and yet you have 1,000. I am truly enchanted, though I don't really understand. For every day and every night I pray to thee. I offer all I have, but what I have is what you gave me. Let thy name be my abode and my resting place too. Let thy name guide me on down a path that leads to you. Your name I do not know, and yet I adore. Your name is exquisite. It makes me feel pure. Without your name, there's no path, no way. Your name is the truth, the rest a mere display. Your name is the stone on which I grind sandalwood. Your name I chant daily as I make the sandal paste. Your name is the water. Your name is the wood. Your name is the prayer mat I sit down to pray. Your name is the oil that I pour into the lamp. Your name is the lamp. Your name is the wick. Your name is the fire with which I light the wick with. Your name is the light that the lamp then emits. Your name is the light that illumines the world. Your name is the delight of an unheard word. Your name is the saffron in the water I spread. Your name is the garland, both flowers and thread. And your name rings true across the ether and beyond the stars. Your name is but one, though 1,000 names are yours. Ek Omkar, Ek Omkar, Ek Omkar, Satnam. The true, the luminous, the unmissable.
Who were generation before us, they would also be saying that in our times you need this. Yeah. And therefore there is this sort of global universality finally. But you asked a very specific question, Jasleen. What does it mean to you today? To me, the greatest good feeling and pride that I have of my religion is the fact of I'm using simple terms of today's language, of being way ahead of the curve, right, of talking about those things which 500 years later we are still grappling with. Liberalism, equality, the fact that do the right things, that of course everybody says, but actually do the right things, share. The fact that we have one earth, we need to take it, we need to nurture it, we need to be part of it. We are one part of humanity. These are the things that make me not just proud, but certainly much more than that. But, one who just simply says, oh my God, and not only am I so fortunate, but just go back and read this, and it perhaps answers the need and the calls of every moment, including ones of today. Thank you.
Because you just opened this, and I have to do this. These sketches that have actually made the book come alive. You opened it, and I wouldn't have remembered otherwise. Have been done by Sukhpal. Sukhpal is a painter and a brilliant painter, but based out of the UK. This was his form of Simran for the book. He didn't take a penny. I would just send a chapter to him. He's married to a friend, Daddy, again a Velamite, and a lot of the Velamites came together to some Saakhis. I'd forgotten that it was a Sari, told me, so somebody kept putting in some words there. But he has done the sketches. I need to thank him. Thank you, Sukhpal.
Use our brains and go through the practicality. So we don't seem to have learned our lessons from our Nanak, have we?
quite true, but if we just adhere to the philosophy of Guru Nanak, we would be able to do much more for the humanity. You know, one thing which Rajni has done is that at the end of every chapter she has put an epilogue, which is very, very relevant, and it brings out the essence of what is said in that chapter. In the Sacha Sauda, the epilogue at the end of it says, and very rightly, that this was the first concept of langar which was there. At page 54 of the book, you will see that epilogue is there, which brings out that this is the first langar. And as you rightly put it, that langar is the only first concept which brought about equality in the society amongst every caste, every religion, no matter where you are. And as you rightly put it, you have to have your meals together. This is good and gives us a insight that how ahead of time Guru Nanak was. And as Mr. Puri put it, that we are till date grappling with what was said 550 years back. So this epilogue which are there are one of the most relevant and the best things that have been put in the book that they bring out there.
And the enormity of it all, that we are still grappling after 550 years with the messages which are essentially so simple that to imbibe them into our DNA is taking us a lot of time. Okay, done. I like that.
So, what Rajni said, Guru Sahib went to the beach at Jagannath Puri. For a man from the land of the five rivers, that was the first encounter with an ocean. That was a mind-opening thing for him. No wonder he thought of Gagan Mein Tal. It was only there that he could think about it, because Kali Bain was the big thing he had seen. Ganga was big enough after that. And now to see the Bay of Bengal, an amazing. Secondly, again come back to context. Contemporaries of Guru Nanak were Michelangelo, Raphael, and Leonardo da Vinci in Europe, the Renaissance. Now, this was the Renaissance in Punjab. He brought it in his own way. You know, he had that musical lilt without calling it a rag. But now in the Guru Granth Sahib, they're all set to rag because it was natural to him. Secondly, I think between 1499, which Rajni brings out, is the Nirvana of Guru Nanak, to 1699, what you mentioned, the creation of the Khalsa, India has changed, Sikhism has changed, we have gone from veneration to protecting our identity. So somewhere we are left protecting our identity. We must look like this, we must not trim our beard, we must wear a kada. But the veneration that Guru Nanak taught us, somewhere that has got fuddled. Now, you don't need to blame, it happens to everybody. But I think we need to understand everything which was said in new context. For instance, in our Ardas, we say, Bhagwati Ji Sahai. Bhagwati Ji Sahai is a sword. Sword to fight injustice. But the injustice of 1699 is not the injustice of 2022. Today, the injustice we do to our women, the injustice we do to our environment, the injustice we do to our society by leaving it, that is what you need to attack. This Bhagwati Ji Sahai needs a reinterpretation. And that is where I think we need to go back, as the other panel, to the Mool Mantra of Guru Nanak and begin with that again and say, what do I understand from it today? Thank you.
I must say, you all it was a transcendental meditation, and I think you broke all the barriers and made way for all of us to feel that we are world citizens, global citizens, as Nanak said. Thank you very much on that note, and I would now, because there would be a formal vote of thanks, because that's the protocol, and I request Mr. Hitesh from Story Mirror to come on propose a vote of thanks.
Hello, yeah. Good evening, everyone. So, here am I to talk about word of thanks and give a brief intro about what Story Mirror is. But first thing first, so really thankful to the entire panel for taking out their time. Justice Saron, Manjeev ji, Gurjit ji, and not only for taking out your time but also sharing your words of wisdom with all of us. And while a lot of anecdotes were shared, people lagged it, but then the word of wisdom which came out was truly, and the last part which Gurjit said is so relevant that we need to put everything, we need to look everything in a different perspective, because the society is different, the world is today very different, and everything has changed drastically. So probably that was the biggest takeaway for me from today's session. Thank you so much, Rajni ji, for trusting Story Mirror with your book. And given that we are quite a young company, just 5-year-old, so that's really an honor and privilege to see your book being published by Story Mirror. And thank you, Jasleen ji, for moderating the panel so beautifully and enabling the panelists to come out with the wisdom of the words they have to. And it doesn't happen if you don't have a proper moderator who can actually take out the words from the panelists. So really great work on your part. So I'll just give a small introduction about Story Mirror in terms of, because what we are doing today needs everyone's support. So Story Mirror is a vision, is a mission to make everyone read and write. We operate currently India's biggest literature platform, where we have a community of more than 1 lakh writers, more than 11 million readers across 10 languages. But we firmly believe that as a country, if we have to move forward, the only way is to enable more and more people to read more and write more. So everyone, each one of you, if you are not writing, at least read, and if you are reading, start writing. And one thing as a publisher, which I must say, not because that book has to be sold, but because the wisdom, the knowledge that the book carries must reach to more and more people. As Manjeev ji said about the book, that Rajni has done a very great job of putting out a book which is not only relevant to the Sikh community, but also it's relevant to everyone out here. So just not buy a copy for yourself,